Overall, the Golden State Warriors season can be best described as a roller coaster. Their play was inconsistent all year, and midway through the season, the Warriors were a mediocre 24 and 28. The season looked over for them, but in the final stretch of the year, Steve Kerr found a winning formula. The Warriors started playing a lot more small ball, Steph Curry went into beast mode, and the Warriors won 15 of their last 20 games, finishing as the 8th seed. But of course, we all know what happened next. They lost a super close game to the Lakers after LeBron hit an incredible deep 3 to win the game, and they lost another close game to a tough Memphis Grizzlies team, which officially ended their season. Now the question is, where do the Warriors go from here? The Warriors have young, talented players like James Wiseman, but Steph Curry is clearly still at the top of his game, even at age 33. The Warriors front office surely wants to maximize whatever is left of Steph Curry's prime and compete for more titles. So in this video, let's discuss what the Warriors can do to become contenders again. But before we continue, if you like content like this, please like the video and subscribe, as it would be very much appreciated. Now let's get started. Before I discuss what the Warriors need to do to become contenders, let's look at how good the Warriors are as a team now. Despite not making the playoffs, I do believe the Warriors are a good team. They just clearly ran out of gas in the last game of the play-in tournament. The biggest strength of this team is easily their defense. As a team, the Warriors ranked 5th in the league in defensive efficiency. As usual, Steve Kerr had the Warriors playing hard on the less glamorous end of the court. Draymond Green had a Defensive Player of the Year caliber season. This was on full display when he locked down Anthony Davis when the Warriors faced the Lakers in the play-in tournament. He's a legit lockdown defender that can guard every position on the court, and he's constantly communicating with his teammates and telling them where they need to be. Another reason for the Warriors' amazing defense this year has been the play of Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins has had a career turnaround for the Warriors. He still isn't the all-star that scouts thought he would be back in 2014, but after years of being a terrible defender in Minnesota, Wiggins emerged as an elite defender for the Warriors this season. He was often tasked with guarding the other team's best player, and more often than not, he did an excellent job guarding them. As we can see, the Warriors are great defensively, but it's the offensive end where they struggle. On the year, they only ranked 19th in offensive efficiency. The main reason for this is because the Warriors simply don't have enough help around Steph Curry. Down the stretch, Curry was putting up even better numbers than his MVP seasons. He averaged 37 points per game in the final 2 months of the season and became the oldest player at the age of 33 to win the scoring title since Michael Jordan. But unfortunately, Steph can't carry the entire Warriors offense alone. To really demonstrate how helpless the Warriors offense was without Curry, according to StatsMuse, the Warriors offense ranked 13th in the league with Steph on the court. With Steph off the court, they had the worst offense by any team in the last 5 seasons. Simply put, the Warriors need more weapons around their 2-time MVP. Golden State probably thought Wiggins could be that elite second option when they traded for him, but he's simply not that guy. Wiggins was good offensively this year. He averaged 18 points per game on good efficiency, but the Warriors didn't need Wiggins to be good. They needed him to be great. He also got a lot better as a 3-point shooter, but he wasn't the dominant shot creator that the Warriors needed him to be alongside Steph. Wiggins is probably a solid third option on a contending team, but if you're asking him to be your second star, that simply isn't a role that's ideal for him. Kelly Oubre Jr. was another disappointment for the Warriors offensively. Despite coming off a career year with the Suns, he couldn't hit the side of a barn for the Warriors all year. So it's clear as currently constructed, the Warriors don't have enough offensive talent around Steph Curry, but there is hope. The Warriors are a top 5 defense. If they can slide into the top 10 on offense, they will be contenders again. There is some hope that the help Steph needs could come internally, but I wouldn't hold my breath that this happens. Klay Thompson should be back next season, but chances are he won't ever be the same player again. He missed all of last year with a torn ACL. Torn ACLs aren't the career killer they used to be, as plenty of players have had torn ACLs and then went on to have all-star seasons. But then Klay had another brutal injury tearing his Achilles right before this season started. 2 back-to-back brutal leg injuries are devastating. He hasn't played a professional game in 2 full seasons. I'm sure Klay will still be a knockdown shooter, but the days of him being a lockdown defender and a 20 points per game scorer are probably over. I'm not saying it's impossible, but at 31 years old and after 2 brutal leg injuries, it's unlikely. A lot of fans are still high on James Wiseman, but Wiseman and Curry's primes will never intersect. Wiseman had a good rookie year. He averaged 11 points and 6 boards a game and showed plenty of flashes, but he's still probably a few years away before reaching an all-star level. And by that point, Steph could be on the decline. The reality is that the Warriors are probably going to have to pull off a trade to get Steph the secondary star that he needs. So at this point of the video, let's look at a few options that could be available this offseason. The Warriors are completely capped out, so acquiring a star will require a trade. Fortunately, Wiggins' $30 million a year salary makes him useful in trade talks, and the Warriors own the 14th pick and the Timberwolves pick if it lands outside the top 3 as trade assets. The best case scenario for the Warriors this offseason would be to get Kawhi. It's unlikely, but depending on how the Clippers perform in the playoffs, it is a possibility. If the Clippers suffer another embarrassing early exit, perhaps Kawhi decides that he's never winning a ring on the Clippers and decides to team up with Steph Curry. Kawhi is a West Coast guy, so playing for the Warriors would allow him to stay close to home. If Kawhi does decide he wants to come to the Warriors, they would have to do a sign and trade. The Warriors could give up Wiggins to match salaries and throw in the 2 first-round picks they own, and they may have to give up Wiseman as well, but it's worth it for a player of Kawhi's caliber, at least in my opinion. Kawhi Leonard is a legit top 5 player, so he would immediately make the Warriors contenders in the West again. But there's only a slim chance that this happens. Another option for the Warriors could be Bradley Beal. Beal isn't Kawhi level, but he's definitely one of the top players in the league. He's been averaging over 30 points per game for the past 2 seasons. A backcourt of Steph and Beal would be unfair for opposing teams. This would easily be Splash Brothers 2.0, but I have to admit, this is also very unlikely. The Wizards have remained unwilling to trade Bradley Beal, and Beal has stated that he wants to stay in Washington. With the Wizards making the playoffs this season, a Beal trade doesn't appear to be imminent this offseason. Another player Golden State should consider this offseason is Demar Derozan. DeRozan has become one of the more underrated players in the league in my opinion. He hasn't made the All-Star team the past few years due to playing in the loaded West, but he's undoubtedly an All-Star caliber player. On the season, he averaged 22 points and 7 assists per game on 50% shooting for the Spurs. He would definitely give the Warriors an elite secondary scorer and playmaker next to Steph Curry. DeRozan is a West Coast guy, so this is definitely a possibility. He's an unrestricted free agent, but the Warriors will have to do a sign and trade since they're capped out. An Andrew Wiggins for DeRozan swap probably works for both sides. The Spurs are notorious for turning players' career around. Wiggins is still just 26, so the Spurs could possibly make him part of their rebuild. And for the Warriors, DeRozan could be the secondary all-star next to Steph that makes them contenders again. The next trade option for the Warriors is Jon Collins. Collins is one of the best power forwards in the league. He averaged 17 points and 7 boards a game this year, and he averaged 21 and 10 for the Hawks last year. He's a talented big man that can score the ball at a high level. He can shoot the 3, and he's an improved defender. Collins would be an excellent front court partner next to Draymond Green. The Hawks and Collins couldn't agree on a contract extension, so they could be willing to do a sign and trade with Golden State this offseason. Collins shooting and scoring would definitely be a huge addition to their team. The last option I'm going to bring up is Kristaps Porzingis. KP has been in trade rumors for a year now, and he reportedly doesn't have a great relationship with Luka. KP would be an excellent fit for the Warriors as a stretch 5 next to Draymond, and he could potentially be that second option that Steph needs for the Warriors to become contenders. But this is easily the riskiest move because KP has proven to be pretty injury prone and he can be inconsistent with his shooting. But anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. The Warriors front office will probably have to get very creative if they want to get the Warriors back to contender status. They could try running it back next season, but I think they're just a good team in the West again next year without a huge addition. Do you like any of these players for the Warriors? What do you think the Warriors need to do to reach contender status again? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.